On Dispatch tonight, your layout photos, the question of the week, and a big shout out coming right up. You're watching Dispatch, the variety show for model railroaders. I'm Roy Smith. Thanks for joining me. As I said, we have your layout photos, the question of the week, and a big shout out coming up on the show. Unfortunately, Justin Case will not be able to join us tonight. Let's get started with your layout photos. You all have posted a bunch of photos of your layouts in our Facebook group since the last edition of Dispatch. And here they are. After the show, I'd like you to go over to the Facebook group and post a photo of your layout there because, as always, we want to see what you're doing on your layout. I will put a link to the group down below. Of course, you will know you've arrived at the Facebook group when you see this photo taken at Echo Canyon on my layout. If you posted a photo but didn't see it here tonight, be sure to watch for it on the next edition of Dispatch. Remember, when posting a photo, it doesn't matter what scale you model in, and yes, you can post photos of your club's layout. Now, you may recall that in the past 2 episodes of Dispatch, I invited you to post photos of signature scenes from your layout in the Facebook group. In case you missed it, I described a signature scene as a location on your layout where you especially like to showcase your trains. A location that stands out for some reason, perhaps because of the scenery, or a location on your layout that you are especially proud of. Friends in the hobby can recognize a signature scene as coming from your layout because it is distinctly yours, much as your handwritten signature is distinctly yours. For example, Echo Canyon on my layout is an example of a signature scene. Hopefully you recognize it right away as being Echo Canyon on my layout, even before I tell you what it is. And here's an example of a signature scene from a friend's layout. Can you guess whose layout it is? Go ahead and guess in the comments section down below. I will tell you if you were right in the next episode of Dispatch. Well, as I said previously in Dispatch, I want to do a video on the topic of signature scenes in the near future, perhaps on the last Saturday in January. I would like to include as many of your signature scenes as I can in that video. So once again, I'm inviting you to post a photo of such a scene on your layout in our Facebook group. But in your post, be sure to identify your photo as being a signature scene. And speaking of photos in the Facebook group, here are some that Cameron LaFleur posted. Cameron said that he went up to Evanston, Wyoming a few days ago, and as you know, I'm modeling Evanston on my layout. These are some of the photos he took while he was there. They include photos of the 060 switcher locomotive, number 4420. For some 40 years, this charming little locomotive performed switching duties in the Evanston rail yards until it was retired and turned over to the city in 1958. It sat in a city park for many years, but in December it was finally moved back to the roundhouse where it now sits. I discussed the move of 4420 in a video called RPO 5 Awesome Deliveries for My Model Railroad back on December 28th. In that video, I showed you how a Christmas gift from my son Mike and his wife Lisa now sits at the Evanston Roundhouse on my layout, representing 4420. I will put a link to the video down below. In addition to his photos at Evanston, Cameron also uploaded a video showing you some rail fanning he did in Echo Canyon, at Echo, Utah, and along the Evanston Subdivision near Taggart, Utah. I will also put a link to Cameron's video down below. Be sure to watch it. Cameron, I want you to know how much I appreciate your photos and video because they help me replicate the area that I am modeling. And now it's time for our question of the week. Here's this week's question. What is the nicest thing that anyone has ever said about your layout? In your responses to the question, you said that people have described your layout in such glowing terms as beautiful, outstanding, amazing, awesome, or very realistic. People have said things like this to you. They have said, I have learned so much from you and your layout. Or you inspire me and the whole model railroad community. Or I really enjoy spending time with you working on your layout and running your trains. You have especially appreciated it when the compliment has come from someone whose work you greatly admire. Or when others have said that something you have done has helped them in building their own layouts. Or when people have recognized a scene you built as one that actually exists in the real world. Let me share a comment from Trainman Bob, for example. In his comment, Bob said he loves to build models of real places. He said that one time at a show, a man stood admiring a scene depicting a small station that Bob had built. The man seemed to be hypnotized by the scene. After a while, Bob approached him, and here's what the man said to Bob. He said, "I can tell you exactly where it is. As a schoolboy, I used to sit right there for my train spotting, rail fanning, and it has been perfectly captured." Bob continued by saying he then pointed out an exact piece of wall he used to sit on. He now sits in his place on my layout. Bob, thanks for sharing that beautiful, heartwarming experience with us. And how about this comment from Jim Young, a friend of mine in Pennsylvania? Here's what Jim said. "The best compliment to me is when this guy I know that lives in Panama brought his beautiful wife and friends to see my layout. I believe you know who that is. It was the biggest compliment I could ever get from someone, and I would like to thank him." Well, thank you, Jim. It was a real pleasure to spend time with you and your wife and to see your spectacular layout firsthand and up close. If you haven't seen Jim's layout yet, I will put a link to his channel down below. Don't miss it. I urge you never to be shy about complimenting a friend in the hobby and the work your friend has done on his layout. The nice things you say will encourage him, and it's a pleasant part of sharing the hobby. Now, we do have a question for the coming week, and here it is. In your opinion, what are the most important qualities of a good model railroad video? If you're like me, then you watch a lot of model railroad videos. In fact, I can tell you that I spend more time than I probably should watching videos, instead of working on my layout and my own videos. So for the coming week's question, I urge you to think about the kinds of things you like to see in model railroad videos. What is it about certain videos that keeps you coming back for more? What is it that makes a difference between a good model railroad video and a great model railroad video? Post your responses to this question in the comments section down below. And then I will share your responses right here on Dispatch next week. Here again is the question for the coming week. In your opinion, what are the most important qualities of a good model railroad video? Now it's time for our big shout out. And our big shout out goes to John Arthur and his HO scale Deepwater and Manchester Railroad. John's layout fits into a room that measures 12 by 14 feet. His layout is set in the area of Richmond, Virginia. John says he enjoys sharing his layout progress with you on YouTube, where his videos emphasize operations and scenery, building and weathering structures and rolling stock, and DCC conversion. So let's go over and take a look at John's layout in one of his recent videos.
All right, so here is the side of the layout that I've done all the work on recently. You guys saw me do the teddy bear field, which was from there, goes right across to this river's edge, or a little stream bed there. You saw me do the stream bed and pour the resin in there. You saw me scenic this side, along the back there, some trees blending into the backdrop. So as I come in close, I do like the way this all came out. We did all that. We did all these trees on the corner here. This is Manchester over here. So the brewery we spent a bunch of time on is over there in the corner. And this represents just a little bit of a scenic break between staging, which is where that left track goes as it cuts through the backdrop behind those trees over there. And Manchester is obviously, if you go right through on that turnout there, you end up in the town of Manchester, which is my original module. This will be a great spot for, rail fanning, etc. A lot of traffic's going to be coming through here from staging into South Yard, which is just right there. So once I ballast these tracks, I'll go ahead and put trees in here and completely finish the scene off. But other than the trees that are going to be in that little patch there, I'm going to go ahead and call this done.
I urge you to go take a look at the rest of this video and some of John's other videos. I will put a link to his channel down below. Go over and check it out, and if you like what you see when you're over there, go ahead and subscribe. And tell John that Roy Smith from the N-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision sent you. John, keep up the good work. Thanks for sharing your layout with the rest of us. Now, as I said, Mr. Justin Case won't be joining us this time to share his vast model railroad knowledge. He's such a busy guy, but hopefully he will be able to join us next time. I would like to remind you that Justin has agreed to do a special video for us about rail fanning and how to do rail fanning properly. Justin still hasn't told me when we can expect to see this video, but be on the watch for it because I think it will be coming out pretty soon. I also want to remind you that there are hundreds of other videos for you to watch right here on this channel. I will put a link to my videos page down below. Go on over to it and browse around. Or you can watch these videos over here just by clicking on them. Well, thank you for letting me share the world's greatest hobby with you here on Dispatch. I'm Roy Smith. Until next time, happy railroading.